Hello and good night. Welcome to another bedtime story. This story is meant to help you sleep or to relax your mind. Try and find a comfortable place, such as your bed or a soft chair. If you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes now. Try and let go of the day as we begin our tale. Tonight's story is The Magic Market. Once upon a time, in a small Gambian village, there lived a boy named Alu. He was not supposed to be outside after dark. His mother had warned him countless times that wandering too far from home could lead him into trouble. But Alu was a bit stubborn. He didn't believe that anything could go wrong, not really. So one night, when he saw a firefly dancing outside his window, he went outside to try and catch it. It won't take long, he thought. Just one quick chase. But the firefly flitted rapidly through the air, and Alu had difficulty catching up to him. Without realizing, it led him beyond the familiar paths of his village and into the whispering shadows of the trees. The night was alive with the sounds of crickets and rustling leaves, but Alu barely noticed. He was too focused on the little dancing creature just ahead, always just out of reach. Then, without warning, the firefly darted around an old baobab tree and disappeared. Confused, Alu turned to go home, only to realize he was somewhere entirely new. Before him stretched the marketplace, unlike any he had ever seen. Stalls lined the moonlit clearing, their wares shimmering in colors too vivid to be real. Merchants called out in voices that seemed to echo from everywhere and nowhere. The air smelled of spices, roasted nuts, and something else, something electric and ancient. This was no ordinary market. As Alu wandered around in awe, his eyes darted from one enchanted item to another. Among the items were a clay pot of endless rice, always warm and fragrant, no matter how much was taken, an enchanted feather, capable of carrying messages across the world in an instant, a pair of magic sandals that allowed the wearer to run as fast as the wind, and a lantern of forgotten paths, revealing hidden roads that ordinary travelers could never see. Among these wonders, a peculiar stall caught Alu's eye. An old merchant, his eyes glinting slightly in the dark, stood behind a table of trinkets. Golden rings, jeweled daggers, and delicate chains glowed under the lantern light. But what truly captured Alu's attention was a simple golden bracelet. "Go on," the merchant said smoothly. "Try it on." Alu hesitated. "How much?" "For you?" The merchant smiled, his teeth sharp and white. "A gift." Alu should have known better, but stubborn as ever, he ignored the warning in his mind and slipped the bracelet onto his wrist. The moment the cool metal touched his skin, a strange sensation rushed through him. His limbs shrank, his skin tingled, his balance shifted, and in an instant, Alu was no longer a boy. He was turned into a small mouse. He was standing on the wooden table, staring up at the towering merchant, who chuckled, then disappeared into the crowd. Alu squeaked in panic and tried to run after the trickster, all the while hearing his laughter echoing in his ears. He darted beneath a stall selling woven baskets, narrowly avoiding the feet of a passing merchant. His tiny heart pounded as he tried to think, how did he let himself get into this situation? And, more importantly, how was he going to get out of it? The firefly had led him to this place, if only he hadn't followed it. But it was no use to sit and think about that for now. He needed to find someone who could break the spell. As he scurried between the stalls, a voice called out to him from the shadows. "Lost, are we?" Alu stopped in his tracks and turned to see a small, scruffy-looking bush baby perched on a stack of woven baskets. Its wide, gleaming eyes studied him with curiosity. "You must be new to the market," the bush baby said, hopping down lightly. "Not many mice come here by choice." "I'm not a mouse," Alu protested, his tiny whiskers twitching. "I was tricked. A merchant gave me this bracelet and—" "Ah," the bush baby interrupted, nodding sagely. "The trickster strikes again. You're not the first." Alu's ears perked up. "You mean someone else has been cursed like this before?" "Oh, there have been plenty," the bush baby said, scratching behind its ear. "But not all find their way back in time, for when the sun comes up, they all remain like this forever." A chill ran through Alu. "I need to break the spell. Do you know how?" The bush baby grinned. "You'll need to find the mage. He's the only one who understands the magic of this place." "Where can I find him?" The bush baby flicked its tail. "That's the tricky part. The mage does not stay in one place. He follows the stories, and the stories follow him." Alu's heart sank. But then the bush baby leaned in, its voice dropping to a whisper. "Lucky for you, I know where he was last seen." Alu's tiny paws clenched. He had no choice but to trust this strange creature. "Will you take me to him?" The bush baby tilted its head, considering. Then it grinned. "All right, little mouse, let's find your mage." And with that, the two of them disappeared into the winding paths of the magic market, racing against time before the spell became permanent. The market was a maze of twisting alleys and shadowy stalls, each filled with wonders Alu could barely comprehend. The bush baby moved swiftly, leaping from crates to rooftops, while Alu scurried below, trying to keep up. "Keep your tail up," the bush baby called back. "There are things in this market that like to snack on small creatures." Alu gulped and quickened his pace. Just then, a rustling sound made his fur stand on end. A sleek black cat slinked from the shadows, its golden eyes locked onto him. "Run!" the bush baby yelled. Alu didn't need to be told twice. He darted through the gaps between stalls, his tiny heart hammering in his chest. The cat prowled behind him, silent and determined. "Over here!" the bush baby shouted, knocking over a stack of clay pots to block the cat's path. It scowled in frustration, but Alu didn't stop. He followed the bush baby into a narrow alley where they finally paused to catch their breath. "That," Alu panted, "was terrifying." "Welcome to the magic market," the bush baby grinned. "Now let's find that mage before something worse finds you." They pressed on, going deeper into the winding alleys, hoping to reach the mage before it was too late. After a long time, the bush baby led Alu to a hidden tent near the edge of the market. Inside sat an old mage, his robe shimmering with woven tails, and piles of parchment lay beside him. He listened patiently as Alu squeaked out his story, nodding knowingly. The trickster's magic is clever, but even he is bound by certain rules. If you can beat him at his own game, the spell will break. Alu's ears twitched. How do I do that? The mage smirked. The trickster never gives anything for free. He said the bracelet was a gift, but that was a lie. Challenge him to a wager. If you win, he must undo the spell. Alu wasn't sure how a tiny mouse could trick a powerful merchant, but with the bush baby's help, he made a plan. They returned to the trickster's stall, where the merchant had returned and was deceiving yet another customer. Alu scurried onto the table and squeaked loudly, "Trickster, you gave me a bracelet, but you never said it would turn me into a mouse." "Ah, but you never asked." Alu narrowed his tiny eyes. "Then let's make a deal. You claim to be the cleverest in the market. Prove it. If I can fool you, even once, you must turn me back." The trickster chuckled, intrigued. "And if you lose?" Alu's heart raced. "Then I will become your servant," he said. A small crowd started to gather, sensing an interesting game. The trickster leaned forwards. "Very well, little mouse. Fool me, and you are free." Alu took a deep breath. He remembered how the trickster's power was built on deception, so he must trick the trickster into outsmarting himself. "I will ask you one question," Alu said. "If you answer correctly, you win. If you answer wrong, you lose." The trickster smirked. "Go on." Alu tilted his head. "What is the one thing you cannot trick?" The trickster blinked slowly, frowned, and then he laughed and said, "That's easy. Nothing is beyond my trickery." But Alu shook his head. "Wrong. The truth. The truth always reveals itself, no matter how many tricks you play." The crowd murmured, and the trickster's grin faltered. A whisper of magic stirred in the air. Then, realizing he had been outwitted, the trickster flicked his wrist, and the golden bracelet vanished from Alu's tiny paw. A warm light enveloped him, and suddenly he felt himself growing. His limbs stretched, his fur disappeared, and, within moments, he was standing on 2 feet once more. Alu gasped, touching his hands and face in relief. He was human again. The trickster scowled, but a deal was a deal, and, without saying another word, he disappeared into the market mist. The bush baby cackled. "You out-tricked the trickster. I didn't think you had it in you." Alu smiled, relieved. "Neither did I." As dawn approached, Alu hurried home, his heart pounding with excitement and newfound wisdom. When he finally saw his village in the distance, he whispered a quiet promise to himself. Never again would he chase after fireflies at night, nor would he ever ignore his mother's warnings again. And, with the memory of how he outwitted the trickster that night. Alu lives happily ever after. The end. Thank you for listening to this bedtime story. I hope you enjoyed the tale tonight. If you did, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more audiobooks and tales to come. Until next time.